What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it is Winged.
And a midget.
And what is happening? What's new?
Well, if my voice keeps going in and out or I sound like a squeak toy, there's a reason.
We went to go see Godsmack, I Prevail,
Bad Omens, and Fame on Fire.
Fame on Fire last night for the KBPI birthday bash. Our oldest actually got
That was his
tickets.
first concert.
That was his first concert. He got tickets for all three of us. What was his reasoning?
Mother's and Father's Day.
Yeah. So
he didn't forget.
Yeah.
We got a good kid.
Yeah.
Not kid anymore, but kid.
I saw three of the bands. I stayed through I Prevail. It is not because I don't like Godsmack. I like Godsmack. I like listening to their music.
We had annoying seat neighbors.
There was 12,000 people in attendance, and my social anxiety and my regular anxiety started to build up, and to prevent me from having a panic attack and potentially ruining a show for my, for Midget and our kiddo, who they love Godsmack, I decided to excuse myself from the festivities.
And he almost fell asleep in the Jeep.
I did. So that's the reason why Midget's voice is a little cracked right now.
And my head is screaming because, Godsmack and Godsmack dictates that you headbang and jump, and I'm
Be
getting
loud.
too old for that shit, man. I am dying this morning. These kids talk about, hangovers are the worst. I've never had a hangover, but I can imagine that this is what it feels like. My neck and my head hurt so bad, and my voice sucks.
So I did have a few things, or at least one thing to talk about. It has actually been sparked in my head by a friend of a friend who I've been having this conversation with and that is the idea of punishing a child with spanking. I don't know, what disciplinary actions.
Corporal punishment
Yeah,
and all
it.
that good stuff. Yeah. No.
So my belief, and this is how I grew up, is if you go ahead and you mess up, right, and you mess up once, you get talked to about it. You get grounded, you get punished that way, right? If you continue to do it after that initial conversation that happens, and that initial grounding or punishment.
Discipline.
Disciplinary action.
Remember, we
then,
can't call it punishment anymore.
Fuck that, it's punishment. The consequences of your actions, then you get spanked. And for my dad, what he would do is 1, 2, 3 with the belt, and then you're on your way, and he'd do it right on your butt. My mom, I've only ever been spanked by my mom twice.
And all she has to do is look at you now, and you'd be like, yes, ma'am.
I made the genius idea that I was going to run during it. And that was a bad idea.
Your mom will catch you.
Oh, she did. She did. She caught me 3 times.
It could even be nowadays. You say something, and your mom would go to smack you on the butt. You'd go to take off, and she will catch you.
Oh, yeah. One, I don't run.
She's 20 years older than you are, and guarantee you she will catch you anyway.
Oh, yeah. She's developing that 80-mile radius that my Nonna, her mom, had when she was raising her children. But
that's the issue growing up in Italian households. Is some of them do some things that are in the old school manner. Some of them do things that are a combination of old school and new school, and then some of them just beat the shit out of their children.
Well, and here's where it breaks down. Like, I've been abused before. Now I'm not gonna go any further.
Both.
I'm not gonna go any further than that. But it was a member of my family.
Oh, I will straight throw this motherfucker under the bus.
And whenever I would do something that I wasn't supposed to, They would snatch me. They would smack me. They would shove me into a corner for 8 hours a day, only being allowed to get up to go to the bathroom or to get lunch. And I'd be stuck sitting there the entire time. And it was right by a window where I would be forced to look out said window at my siblings being able to go outside and play. And this was from like, I could have just woken up. And that's all I did was I got up. And it was immediate. You did this right now.
Even though
you're and it's like I just woke up though.
I
How could I have done
yeah.
any of these if
I get it.
And then it wouldn't matter because they were my elder, and so I was taught to respect your elders, and then this person would let my parents know when they got home and quote unquote justify their reasoning for it. And my younger siblings were too terrified to say anything. And so I was stuck for weeks on end having this happen to me until one day my mom came home early and saw that I was sitting there and asked, how long have you been sitting there? Since I woke up. Well, what did you do? Well, I got up out of bed. Okay, but what did you do? No, Mom, you don't understand. I got up out of bed, I had breakfast, and then I was immediately made to sit here. And one of my brothers looked at my mom and said, very, very subtly, because said person who was in charge of watching us was hovering, and very subtly nodded along with what I said. And then she asked this person, and the lies came streaming out. And so my brother very subtly shook his head no whenever she was speaking, and my mom's like, "Oh, really?" And then sat with everybody individually, called my dad home, like made my dad leave early because of a family emergency, and had my dad distract this person and questioned all of us on what happened and what's been going on. And once the truth came out, there was an explosion, not really an explosion, but like a temperamental explosion, or temperament explosion, rather. And a lot of very loud conversations happened. And then like 2 weeks later, we were in another location, and we were left alone for the most part. So that that in itself, I feel, is not okay, and that's abuse. But like messing up to the point where I was on a daily basis, it seems like it was a daily basis in my own recollection. I was messing up, and I knew exactly what I was doing.
You're like, if I'm getting punished for it, I might as well do it.
Well, no, it's more along the lines of I was being punished because I felt I deserved more attention than what I was getting. And so I would mess up because any attention is attention, like bad attention, good attention, whatever. And it seemed like if I was bad, I would get more attention than what I was doing when I did something good. So I would mess up and I would put attention on me. And yeah, I purposely went ahead and I did stuff to get myself in trouble. But that came at a cost, because after that point, my sister decided that, oh, I can do anything and just blame it on Winged, and I can get away with it. And they're not going to believe him. They're going to believe me. So, and there were a few times where she was outright caught doing something, and she blamed it on me, and I took it. I took the heat for her, even though I had nothing to do with it. There were several occasions where I wasn't even around when something happened. My parents asked, like, what happened? Who did this? And my sister would look to me like, hey, you're gonna do this for me, right? You're gonna take the heat for me, right? And I was like, fuck it. And
Yeah.
I prevented my sister from being punished, which then led to a lot of different things that we're not going to get into right now. But, like, punishment, in my belief, and this is looping back around to what I was originally saying. If you do something that you're not supposed to, you get talked to about it, right? You set the boundaries for, hey, this is a rule, and this is the punishment for
This is
if
okay,
you break
this is
said
not.
rule. If you do it again after you've already had that initial conversation, then you need to have the punishment.
Yeah.
If it continues to go down the line, if it continues to happen, then it's no longer an accident, as what most people would say. It has now become a pattern, and it's on purpose. And therefore, a more harsh punishment needs to happen, up to and including a spanking. And you know, once again with me, if I was to give out a spanking, it'd be 3 swats on the butt, and that's it. You know, I wouldn't go any further than that. But if you're like walking in front of somebody while they're watching a show, or you know, you're pouring a glass of milk and it gets knocked over, you know, as you go ahead and you turn, that's not on purpose. That's an accident. You know, so no, that doesn't. You should clean it up for that milk. You know, or say, you know, have something said to you like, hey, can you walk around next time, or can you say excuse me, or something to that extent, find another path. Then, you know, well, I won't even say that because it's fucking TV. Who the fuck cares?
Not
and
only
most people
that,
nowadays, they use streaming services, so it's not like you can't pause it, rewind it, go back to where you were because you missed a second of screen time because somebody walked past you.
well, it's not only that, but look at the way most houses, most homes or apartments or trailers or whatever you want to live in is set up. Most people's couch is across the room up against the wall from their television.
Yeah.
There's no way to get through that section of the house without walking in front of somebody who's watching something.
Mm-hmm.
And see, like, my childhood was sort of like yours, but in a different way. And that'll make sense when I tell you. So, the part about walking in front of the television, my house when I was growing up was set up kind of like our apartment is. The couch is up against a wall, and the TV is across the room.
Right.
Okay.
Maximize space.
Exactly. So, there was no way getting around.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was younger, my dad was drunk. And
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. He used to drink very heavily. And I walked in front of the television. Well, we had one of those old school heavy-duty oak coffee tables.
Yeah.
And it was between the couch and the television. It was so he could put his drinks on it.
Right.
Well,
It was a table.
I was, I think, 5 or 6, and I was walking from the kitchen through the living room to go out onto our porch because the dog wanted inside. This was Jack Jack. Jack Jack was my Jack Russell Terrier, German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Ugly looking fucking mutt, but I love the damn thing. Went to go let him in because, of course, he'd been going off for 20, 25 minutes.
And nobody had gotten up to get him.
And my dad, who was sitting right there on the couch, less than 30 feet from the door, was just ignoring him and kept turning the TV up.
Yeah.
Well, I had walked past so I could go let Jack Jack in, and he kicked me so hard it broke my tailbone. And when I landed on the solid oak coffee table, it broke in the center of the top, and then he pulled both my pants and my underwear down and beat me with a belt. Keep in mind, my tailbone was broken. But he didn't whip me with the belt part. He used the end with the buckle. And that's where that scar comes from on my right hip.
Yeah.
He hit me
He kept hitting me for so long I could literally no longer feel it. And when I said something, that was the start of my dad saying, "Oh, she's a pathological liar. She doesn't know what she's talking about." They wouldn't even take a look at the bruises.
Yeah.
They didn't believe me. And then shortly after that, my dad finally got a job. The first job I remember him having when I was growing up didn't last very long, only about 6-7 months. But then my cousin started watching us.
And other things happened at that point. But we're
Sexual
talking
abuse and stuff like that. And then that started a spiral of behavior issues where I fought tooth and nail not to go over there and not to be around my cousin, not to be around that part of the family. And then my mom was believing me, but she was overseas at that point. So a lot of my abuse...
military.
Yeah, a lot of my abuse stems from my dad and his side of the family.
Yeah.
And whenever I would bring it up to teachers or to a police officer that was outside my school or to my counselor or anything like that, my dad would show up and be like, "Oh, she's a pathological liar. She never tells the truth," and all this, that, and the other. And then he would take me home and the abuse would continue. It's that abuse cycle. Like, even if my brothers did something wrong, he would punish me for it because I'm supposed to be watching them.
Yeah.
And it continued all the way up until finally I had enough of it. I was in, it was my senior year, and that's when I signed up for the military. And I didn't look back. I haven't been in his house since then.
Yeah.
He kicked me out when I was 17 because of the woman he chose to marry. Eventually marry, anyway.
Anyways.
He cheated on my mom with one of her good friends, and now they're married, and it's a whole disaster. But yeah, the abuse continued even through high school. I mean, like, nobody believed me. That's why I would always, like, I got a job as soon as I could. I got out
so
of
that way
there.
you weren't home
Exactly.
as long as you could be.
Yeah. And it wasn't until, like, I came back when I got discharged, which I got back September 9th, 2001, and then 2 days later, September 11th happens. And so I was back at his house I got back September 9th. He came and picked me up from the airport or from the bus station, and went back to his house, and I was there for maybe a month and a half, and he tried treating me the same way, like I was still a little kid. Like,
yeah.
And it's just like, no, this is not going to happen. I'm 18 years old. I have had a job. I've been taking care of myself and my brothers for the longest time. So you can fuck the right off.
Yeah.
The first time I ever told my dad to fuck off after I turned 18, it was liberating. And still to this day, he has not seen me or my children since Haley was about 7 months old.
Yeah.
And when Nathaniel was born, everything was all sunshine and roses.
Well, we're not going to go into that.
No,
we're
it's
not
part
gonna
of the
go
pattern
into
of abuse.
No. We're not going to go into that. We can have a discussion about abuse at another time, because this may already be triggering enough with the punishment part. Anyway. But we're talking about disciplining children.
And see, and that's the thing is like that's the way I grew up. So for me, it was a shock because when I had our kids, I'm just sitting there like I have no idea what the fuck to do. Like
Yeah.
when our oldest was 3 or 4 years old, he did something, and it's like I didn't know what to do. Like
because of how you were punished.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's that cycle that I was talking about, and it's just like, and then when Fish was born, part of that cycle that I tried to keep from repeating and stuff was the fact that they tried to take custody of Nathaniel, and so it's just like for a parent to go from, okay, I have this in my childhood, this is what my parents did, what am I going to do? Because I know how that felt.
It's finding your own way.
Exactly.
But, when it comes to disciplinary actions, holy crap.
He can't talk today.
It for me, it's all about intent. Like, are you
Exactly.
doing this because they messed up? Or are you doing this because you're angry?
And that's what I try not to do, is dole out any punishments when I'm angry.
Like, here's the way I look at it, right? If you are caught driving without a license for the first time, like you don't have one at all.
No, don't do that again, and you get a fine.
Yeah, don't do it again. You get a fine, and you have to call somebody to come get your car, or it's gonna get towed, right? If you shoplift something, depending on where it is and who you're dealing with and what temperament they're in, you'll get a fine. You'll get something said to you, and you'll get banned from that store.
Yeah.
If it's your first time. If you go ahead and you're speeding, depending on how fast you're going, you'll get something said to you, you'll get a fine.
And then you go on your merry way.
Right. But if it becomes a habitual thing, if it becomes a pattern,
then there's a problem.
Then you go ahead and you start like
Jail time. Harsher fines.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I was brought up, is like you do something. I did something I wasn't supposed to, right? I got a cookie, or I got told no, and then I did it anyways. The first time I did it, I got something said to me. I got yelled at, or I got talked to, trying to figure out like why I did it, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
The second time I did it, I got grounded. And if it wasn't that bad, or if I told the truth that I did this, then I would just get grounded.
Yeah.
Once it started happening more than twice, then it's like, okay, you're going to get a spanking, and you're going to be grounded at the same time.
It's a combo platter.
Yeah. Like that's how it was for me. And there were times where like my dad would sit there and ground me, and my mom's like, no, he needs spanked. And my dad's like, why? He was honest with us. He told us the truth. Why am I going to spank him?
And that's the polar opposites thing.
For that. And there were other times where my dad's like, you're going to get the belt. And my mom's like, why?
Yeah.
Well, because of this. No. He did what you told him to. Why are we going to punish him? Like, why are we going to give him a spanking if he did something that you told him to, and you told him what would happen once he did? Like, you tell the truth, you're not going to get in as much trouble. We won't be as mad.
Yeah, that phrase sucks.
And
sorry, parents.
And so, like, that happened a few times. And then there was a lot of times where I would just straight up lie, be like, nope, wasn't me. Well, we have proof of you. Still wasn't me. We caught you on camera. Wasn't me.
That song coming back to haunt you. No, and see, like, were your parents like polar opposites with their punishments?
It seemed like that times. Like, there were very few occasions that I can remember off the top of my head that my parents were both like, they were both like good cop, bad cop. Very few times did that happen.
Yeah.
Like my parents, when they made a decision as a team.
Yeah.
Like I messed up. Unanimous decision. You get a spanking because you've done it more than once.
Yeah.
The only time that they were like polar opposites on it was like one parent was like, well, he needs a spanking. He needs spanked. And the other parent's like, no, he doesn't. And they take time and they would sit and talk. And I'd be privy to the conversation because I had to stand right there and listen to the entire thing. And if one parent had more pros than cons, then
they would go with that.
They would win. That person would win,
yeah.
right? But
it's a democracy of parenthood.
Yeah, like, but when it came down to it, like, there were very set rules. There were rules set in place for a reason, and we were all expected to follow those rules once we were informed of those. And I will say, a lot of the rules in that household were because of me, and I was the bar setter for rules. This is okay. This is not okay. This is okay. This is not okay. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yay for me, but
no,
I mean, like my parents didn't really do good cop, bad cop. They were unified. They were a unified front. 9 times out of 10.
My parents were the opposite of yours. Like, my parents, because I grew up in a military household, were one or the other was always gone. When I was young, like toddler young, it was my dad. Yeah. My mom was always the one taking care of us. And then as we got older, my mom would be the one going overseas or to different conventions or being transferred before the rest of us were, like the whole 9 yards. And even when we were all together as a family, like my dad would be the exact opposite of my mom. Like my mom would want to talk to us and see our reasoning or find out if it's one of those things that's been repeated. You know, she was kind of like your parents in that aspect. But my dad, anything to do with me,
it was immediate push for...
It was immediate, like, I can't tell you how many belts or switches or hands or boots or whatever that I've been hit with.
Yeah.
Like, with him, it was immediate, all but kicking the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, no, this, and this. And it was to a point where, to protect me, my mom left with me.
Yeah.
Because she knew he would never raise a hand to my brothers. My brothers could do no wrong in his book.
Yeah.
But me, nope, I was...
You were the devil incarnate.
Yeah. I looked and acted like my mother. That was his big reason for punishment on several occasions. Like, I could be just, like, walking in the house from school, and he'd be like, start screaming at me and throwing things at me, or grab me by my hair and shove me into my room, or ripped my door off the hinges because I wasn't feeling good and I was running a fever, so I went to go lay down, and he ripped my door off my hinges and said that I was doing something, and then, I never got a door back ever again, no matter where we lived. So, I mean...
Like, when it came down to it, though, I will say, whenever it came down to, like, spanking time, as I've stated, my mom only spanked me twice. My dad primarily was
the disciplinarian
when it came to spankings.
And now, it's so funny. He's so calm. He's a lot calmer and a lot more soft-spoken now. It's so funny.
That's the thing. Like, that's how he always has been. He's always been the type to be, when it comes personality-wise.
I love your dad.
When it comes personality-wise, my dad is and has been the calm one unless something is... Like, unless it's a topic that he's interested in, or it's an opinion that he has, that he becomes very animated.
He's very passionate.
Talkative. Exactly, very passionate.
When he has something that he believes in, he's going to be very animated and very passionate. But it's so funny to just see him and talk to him.
In contrast, my mom has, majority of the time, she's always more of the hype man. She's always more of the let's go, you got this, let's do this, yada yada. We're going.
She's
doing.
a great wingman.
She is a very active. Like she loves starting conversations. She loves dealing with conversations. Like she's always more of that animated person from the get go. But when she gets angry, she gets real quiet. Like,
and that's why I love her.
This is the way that my mom put it to me. If I'm loud, you're fine. If I'm loud, then I go back. Then I go to being quiet. Start shitting Twinkies.
Run.
No, she literally said, "Start shitting Twinkies," because at that point she is done.
She has nothing else to say. There's nothing that she's gonna say. That's
it's almost like that cold fury, right there. And I have
what I do.
I will fully admit, I have pushed her to that limit before. Sometimes
don't do dumb shit.
A lot of times it was on accident. There were a few times that I did it on purpose.
Stop doing dumb shit.
Yeah, well.
Don't try to run from the woman because she gonna catch you.
But when it came down to it, like my dad was the one who spanked us more often. Because he felt that was his job. Like my mom was there to be like, "Hey, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk
to
this
pick
out."
you up.
No, it wasn't even picking me up. This is like, "Hey, we're gonna you messed up. You messed up. We're gonna talk about why you messed up, and I'm going to make that determination on whether or not the punishment ends here, or you wait for your father to get home."
Oh God, I hated that phrase.
Yeah.
For me, it was like
the other one that terrified me. Go wait in my room.
Oh God.
Yep, and you had to sit on the corner of the bed and wait, and the waiting was the worst part.
Oh no, like even better, like when my dad got sober, he was a lot less
angry
and violent. And his biggest thing for me was, the old school buckets or buckets of water that you'd hold by the handle, or wall sits with books. And
see, I never had that.
Like my dad would, like when he was sober, that was my punishment because he knew I hated it. He would have me do wall sits, and every time I would move, he would put another book on.
Yeah.
And there was one time that I was just being a general smartass, and he just kept adding books and books and books, and I had the entire Encyclopedia Britannica set on my hands, and finally he's like, "Okay, this isn't working. Go away." And I was like, "Yeah, I win." And then he's like, "What?" I was like, "Nothing." Like, like that whole, like you trying to say something under your breath and then the parent still hearing you, even though you're in a completely different room. Like, I swear parents have built-in bionic hearing.
What?
Exactly.
Well, no, like, we never had, like, wall sits or anything like workout style punishment. Like, for us, when I was, like, younger, we got punished. We had to stand in the corner for as old as we were, that many minutes, right? And then if we moved, because we had to stand like perfectly still. If we moved, then the timer would get reset. We have to do it again. And I was a very antsy, like hyperactive kid, so it was like I could stand there for like 30 seconds at most. And then I was moving. I had to shift. Like I had to be doing something. Like some part of me had to be moving, right?
Yeah.
So my timer kept constantly getting reset.
I hated when the timer got reset.
But when it came down to it, like once I got old enough, yeah, I would get spankings.
Yeah. And see, and that's the thing. Like it's actually really crazy because I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about it now that we're talking about it, and it's just like, holy cow. Like, there were times, like,
when the punishment fit the crime type deal, and then there were times where it's like, why?
Yep.
I mean, and that went up to and including the stupid shit you did in high school, like me getting busted egging houses and drinking.
Well, your
at 17.
Your mom helped you with that one.
My mom, no. That was when I was 13, and some girl decided to be bullying me and chopped a chunk of my hair off. And turns out her dad was my mom's boss, and they didn't get along either. So when his daughter was bullying me, and unbeknownst to us, I got caught by the police because my mom decided to light a flaming bag of dog poop on his doorstep. And then he came out, and then when my mom booked it, I got caught because the woman scaled a fence. And the cops caught up to me because I was trying to run. I was like trying, but I just couldn't make it over that 8-foot chain link fence. So they called my mother to come pick me up because I was only 13. They couldn't take me to jail or whatever. And my mom rolls up in the car like fucking nothing happened. And she's got sweat dripping down, like she wipes her sweat. And she goes, "I'm sorry, officer. I will make sure she gets punished for this." And then we leave and go get ice cream. I mean, it was hysterical. And then we see, as I'm getting out of the car and out of the police car and getting into my mom's car, the dad is out there, and he goes, "Oh, it's your kid?" And then all of a sudden my mom started having problems at work because of something that I did.
Yeah.
And then he found out exactly what was going on, what his daughter was doing. And it flipped the complete opposite. Once he found out the truth, it was like my mom was treated like gold at work. She was taken out of that school and sent to military school, like the whole 9 yards.
Oh, I mean, I think we strayed a little bit from the original
that's
thing.
our
But
normal.
That's part of the chaotic mind bunny trail.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
to summarize, I think, for me,
does the punishment fit the crime?
Exactly. If you shouldn't go ahead and
jump to violence.
Well, you shouldn't spank a child without the expectation of them knowing, or not expectation, without them knowing what the rules and the punishment for said rules are.
And or the other part.
I mean, other than murder.
Yeah, I'm turning your ass in.
Yeah.
But no, like, for me, the point that I would like to make is, like, along those lines of, does the punishment fit the crime? Me making a mistake or struggling on a test and getting a B, C, D, failing a test, does not constitute me getting the shit kicked out of me.
No.
Me going out and breaking the law, drinking at 16, and egging people's houses, yeah, I deserve to get my ass beat. I mean, it's all about that question, and that's the one thing that I've made sure I've asked myself is, does this punishment fit the crime?
The intent. What is my biggest thing is, what is the intent behind the punishment? Grounding, something small. Like small little offenses. It's happened like maybe twice. I will never jump right to spanking for a first time thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, you killed the cat, you killed the dog, you know. At that point, then, yeah, I'm definitely going to be letting some people know so that way they can keep an eye on you. I'm not, you know, but and depending on, like, whose cat it was, you know, then, yeah, you might get, you know, escorted to a police station or, you know, and or a shrink.
Why did you kill this animal? Why did you do what you did?
Yeah, like, if they did it, like, to defend another person.
Like, I
or
killed a dog
another
purposely.
Animal, then, like, yeah.
I killed a dog I personally killed an animal when I was
12 by beating it with a stick because it attacked my youngest brother Patrick. He had to get, I think it was like close to 600 stitches and staples in his face and in his scalp because his dog latched onto his face and his neck.
Yeah. And the only way to get him off.
Oh no,
get the animal
it
off.
let go and went after my other brother, and I lost it. I beat that damn thing with a tree branch.
Yeah. But like that kind of stuff. If it's in defense, then yeah, I could see it. If it's just because I felt like it,
or I was curious how it would feel,
like a Joffrey from Game of Thrones. No, sorry, nope. Anyways,
you got some problems.
Summarizing the entire thing: does the punishment fit? What is the intent behind it?
Is this the first time?
Exactly. Is this the first time?
Yeah.
So
is there something that I can help you with that'll keep you from doing this in the future?
Yeah. You know, so going from there, did you have something that you wanted to speak about or have a conversation?
Hey guys, guess what? I got a new job.
Okay.
Ow.
Is there anything else
to
further along these conversations?
You know, I really don't have a whole lot. My Bryans are still fried from last night.
Okay, well, in that case, because I gave you the option, I did want to talk about something else.
Uh-oh.
So I've been watching, and I follow her on. I follow her on TikTok. That's actually where the first time I saw her. She was doing a video on this instance where, like, a woman is saying that unless a guy is like has this list of requirements,
6 foot tall and strong,
and they have a bank account, then I don't want them. And meanwhile, she's looking like a busted can of biscuits. Her words, not mine.
Yeah. And
it was like, okay. So I started watching some more of her stuff. I follow her on YouTube. If you're curious,
she's
it's
great.
Roma Army. But that actually brings up. I was watching a video of hers earlier, and that actually brought a question up to mind, and it does go along the same lines as an earlier. You know what we were talking about. Why is it okay?
Is it the domestic violence video?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is it okay for men to get laughed at for making
or not believed
for making claims of abuse, but when women do it, it is like everybody nationwide, like it becomes this big thing across all social media, and whether or not it's true or not.
And that's the thing.
Why is it okay for men to have to sit there and suffer in silence or get ridiculed, but women have to be taken seriously, whether or not what they're claiming is true or false?
And see, and that's the thing. I don't like the double standard of it all, but that's why I like Colorado. When the police are called for any domestic incident in Colorado, whether it be arguing, like being too loud, or abuse allegations, or whatever, they come, they look at both sides of the story. They look at who has marks, who doesn't. And if both of y'all have marks, guess what? Both y'all are going to jail. If one has marks, but the other doesn't, they're like, hey, what happened to cause these marks? They look into it further than just, oh, she's got a black eye. We don't know how that happened. Cool, he's going to jail. He has a black eye. What happened? Oh, she punched him because he told her she couldn't drive drunk. Cool, she's going to jail. Like, they look at both sides of it in Colorado, and that's where I love it, because I had a friend who was suffering in silence because he was never believed. She was the aggressor in it all, and she was abusing him to the point of he wasn't allowed to see friends or family. None of that. It was like that huge the huge abuse that women are always, oh, he did this, he doesn't allow me to talk to this person or this person. No, she was the one that was doing that to him. And he suffered for so long. And finally, when the laws changed and when Colorado started being like, oh.
A little more relaxed.
And they looked into it, they're like, that's when the men's shelters and stuff like that started popping up, because everybody was scrambling because nobody knew what to do, because all of a sudden now these men have a voice and can speak about their abuse like women could for the longest time. I never understood why men could never be treated the same way, because it's the same thing with rape. Oh, she was raped. Oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? He was raped. Oh, dude, stop bitching.
It's not really rape because you climaxed, or you know, there was ejaculation. No.
Some excuse or another.
Or you're a dude, so like you can't get no. Whether you're a male or a female, you can like
no is no.
You can get raped. If you're a female, you can get raped by a female.
Exactly.
If you're a male, you can get raped by a male. Yeah, we know that. Any sort of interactions that you do not want of the
rather you
sexual
say
variety.
No or you try to get away. Verbal and verbal and nonverbal cues. If you notice that the other person is uncomfortable with the situation, or you ask them and they say no, walk the fuck away.
Like, well, and here's the thing, you know.
My mic was off. That's hilarious.
That is all right.
Anyway, yeah,
but
like
no,
I said.
Here's my thing. If a woman comes on to you, right? If you're a guy and a woman comes on to you and you don't want it, you can't really get her off the same way that a woman can do to a guy who's doing the same thing. Because then the woman is going to go ahead and be like, look, if you don't give me what I want, then I'm going to say that you assaulted me because you
playing
pushed
that
me,
rape card.
You pushed me off. You pushed me away from you. There was the one video that I was watching was this guy and this chick they were in the process of getting a divorce. They were separated, but they were still living together.
Yeah.
He's paying for everything.
Was it the video I sent you?
No. And he went ahead and he changed the Wi-Fi password because it's his internet. He's paying for the internet. He's paying for the electricity.
Yeah.
And she went ahead and stated, if
the
you
one
don't
were
give me the
watching.
Wi-Fi password, I'm just going to go ahead and say that you raped me and you were messing with our children.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Thank God he got it on camera. And she was following him around the house as he's trying to like go to the bathroom or he's trying to get away from her. She is like following him, screaming at him about this Wi-Fi password and not wanting it. And then it pretty much went down to, if you don't give me what I want, then this divorce that we're going through is going to get messy.
Yeah, and that's fucked up, dude.
Had this dude not had this camera, who knows what would have happened? But how many times did that happen to people?
How many times did it happen to that guy before he decided to say fuck it and file for divorce?
We were watching On Patrol like a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago. I can't remember.
Talking about when the guy is beating the shit out of the girl?
No. When the chick was beating the shit out of the guy, and the guy had he was accused of assault. There was no proof of it. So the police were like, and he's actually like, look, she was actually the one who assaulted me. And the police, once again, there was no evidence of it. So the police were like, we really can't do anything. There's no proof. What I will say is, if this happens again, just get it on camera. And so we did.
And then they came back, and they
came back, and she's like making all these accusations. Well, he's not letting me do this, and he's doing that.
He's like, I just want my keys, and I want to leave.
He's like, well, actually, I have it all on camera because I was recording the entire time. And she went from running her mouth about what he's doing and all that to, well, he can't do that. That's against the law, to these police officers. And the police officers were like, no, he actually can. This is a one-party thing.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to, he can. And then she went silent.
And
she
she
got
didn't
in
say
the
shit
car,
because she
shut
knew.
the door, rolled up the windows in the desert during the day, and refused to say anything else.
He refused to get out of the car. I just
And
love
so they
when
went
that-
ahead and they
yeah.
talked to the dude, and they're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Here's the video. This is all I'm trying to do. This is what she's trying to take the kids and go somewhere else, and leave and all that. And all I'm trying to do is prevent that from happening because I know I'm never going to see him again if she just leaves."
Yeah.
And so the cops ended up asking the kids, like, who do you want to stay with? And the kid, like, I think there was like 6 kids. And like,
Yeah,
4
one of them was
the
older.
6, 4 of the 6 are like, no, I'm staying with dad.
Yeah.
Like the oldest one was like, no, I'm staying with dad. 2 of the ones in the middle, 2 of the kiddos in the middle were like, well, I want to go with mom. But all the rest of them are like, no, I'm staying with dad.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's how, I hate to say this, but that's how it should be when it comes to something like that.
So and see here's the thing. Our daughter Bug had a very valid point, and I want her to say this because she's 14, and if she understands this at 14, grown-ups, pay the fuck attention.
And that word is,
Sexual assault is sexual assault.
it shouldn't matter who it is.
Exactly.
You know, but why is it become a norm? Then we got off track.
Bunny trail.
I'm looping us back around. Why has it become a norm for these women who make these accusations or have such high standards but yet have the double standard? Why is it okay for them to do stuff like that? But when it comes to the males doing it, or males having the same exact standard, all of a sudden, well, you're misogynistic, you're a man,
You're
you know,
sexist. You're this or that.
sexist, you're body shaming, yada yada. But yet,
The same women they're talking about are the same women they're like, oh, he needs to have $100,000 in his bank account. He needs to have a 6-pack. He needs to be 6 foot tall.
6 foot tall with a 6-pack and a 12-inch dick, and he has to provide me with everything, yada yada. Meanwhile, there's dude standing right next to her that's clearly interested in this chick. That's like, I can help. I can. Take
All the
care of you.
standards
I
aren't
wanna
met.
Make this a partnership, which is what a relationship
Should be.
But I want to make this a partnership, so I'll put in my half if you're willing to put in your half.
Or those ones that are like, well, he's 6 foot tall and he's gorgeous, but he doesn't have a lot of money. Or the opposite, he has a lot of money, but he's uglier than snot. So that's the only reason I'm with him.
Well, here's what in certain instances in that, I will say this much. There are some women out there that are like, I want a boyfriend who is 6 foot tall and has money and has a 6-pack and he takes care of me and all that kind of stuff. Bitch, you ain't looking for a boyfriend. You are looking for somebody to take care. You are looking for a sugar daddy. That's all you're looking for.
And there are services for that. If that's what you want, get a fucking sugar daddy.
There are some people who that's all they want. But these women that are like, I want somebody who can work with me, who can grow with me, like you.
Oh.
Those women need to have more of a voice than these loud ass fucking people.
And see, and the thing is like it is always a partnership.
We diverted again, son of a bitch. Why is it okay for women to abuse men, but men get ridiculed when they go ahead and they say something? Versus when a woman gets abused, they're almost automatically believed.
No matter if they're lying or not.
Why is that a norm? Dr. Phil even went ahead and
I hate Dr. Phil, but he had a good point on this.
This dude was getting the shit kicked out of him. Football tackles, football moves, hit with a chair. He got smacked. He had bruises and cuts on his face and back. And this guy smacked this woman once in self-defense. Who do you think Dr. Phil went ahead and talk to. And yes, this is a rhetorical question. He went ahead and instead of directing all of this abuse and like, you shouldn't do this to the dude because he's a dude. He's like, well, I don't care what she does. You need to walk away. And if she follows behind you, then you need to walk faster. Excuse the fuck out of me. No. Like, let's say you get this wild hair up your ass.
Yeah.
And you start attacking me. And I try to walk away and you follow me and continue to attack me.
Yeah.
Physically attack me. I'm fearful for my life. You're going to get put in some sort of hold where you can't move. And I will restrain you after I've called the police.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hit you. But I'm going to restrain you.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say something that's probably going to be very controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Because I know you agree with this because we've had this discussion before.
Yep.
If you are a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. If you are a woman and you have the gall and the balls to start kicking the shit out of your other half because you don't like what he's doing and this, that, and the other, or you hit him out of anger, or you do something or accuse him of something out of anger that he didn't do, regardless of what it is, if you are hitting somebody, they have the right to hit you back in self-defense. If you have balls enough to act like a man and beat the shit out of a man, you deserve to get hit like one. I am sorry. I know that's going to be controversial. I know it's probably not going to go over well in some circles. But if you have the balls to hit your partner, you deserve to get hit back in self-defense. That is it. Like, and it goes both ways. If you are a man that's beating on your woman and she hits you back out of self-defense, cool. You deserve it. If you're a woman that's beating the shit out of your man and you get hit back in self-defense, you fucking deserve it.
And if you're a man who's beating the shit out of your woman, just for the simple fact of beating the shit out of your woman,
you're not a man.
I come around and I beat the shit out of you,
you deserve it.
If I come in, I break your kneecaps with a nice piece of ash, aka baseball bat, you deserve it.
And that's the thing, is like, we need to stand up for each other in this. Like, it doesn't need to be separated males and females, men and women, however you want to look at it. It doesn't matter who's abusing who. You need to start looking at it all. If you are a law enforcement officer or a military police or a first responder or whatever the case may be, stop believing just one party over the other. Look at both sides. You need to look at both sides because I can guarantee you the story is going to change.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely
if you've got both, it's the old adage, there are three sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. And sometimes the truth is all of one side, sometimes it's all of the other, sometimes it's a combination of both.
Yep.
And then go about it. I hate the fact that women are believed 100% of the time, and the man
until they're proven wrong,
and then the man is punished.
But
and then when they're proven wrong, nothing happens to the female for accusing or making a false claim. That's horseshit too, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
And now that I'm thinking about this, we've actually kind of had part of this conversation once before.
Yeah.
With the All the Things She episode that we did when we were talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Yep.
And I will re-emphasize this point where if it shouldn't matter what sex you are or what sex you claim, abuse is abuse is abuse is abuse. It does not matter. You know. So like it
doesn't matter.
So frustrating.
Abuse is abuse is abuse.
It's so frustrating to me because I'm a laid back person. Like it you can say, do, see, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, cool. But witnessing some of this bullshit of females having these forcing themselves to have such high standards and forcing guys to meet those standards, or you have no chance. But yet,
When men
go
do the
ahead,
same
when they
thing.
do it to them, and these men do the same thing.
Why are
to
you
these-
like this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that irritates the shit out of me.
That's
You-
a double
you claim
standard
you
I
want-
talk
you-
about.
You want equality. Cool. Make it equal across the board. Plain and simple.
But on the other hand, on the other aspect of that, is if you falsely accuse somebody just because you're angry or you don't like the way they're acting or whatever, and
You
it's
should go to jail.
exactly making a false claim is a crime.
Yep.
They
It's actually
punish people for it all the fucking time.
So, like, 10 Commandment wise, even if you're Christian and you're doing this, you're breaking one of the 10 Commandments. You know, providing false.
False witness.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, if you are providing that false witness, as the 10 Commandments say, or you are providing
if
a
you're-
false statement,
If you are a Christian and you're providing false witness,
or if you're not, and you're providing that statement and saying, well, he
You're
raped me,
lying.
he raped me, he raped me, he raped me, and it's not true, you need to go to jail for the crime yourself.
Yep.
Because there is no way, male or female,
I mean,
that you should
pretty
accuse
much-
somebody of
you-
doing something
If
that's
you falsely
false.
accuse somebody of something like that, you pretty much signed a death warrant on their life. Like, they are always gonna
regardless if
have-
it's true or not.
regardless of whether it's true or not. Like, if they did it, absolutely fucking say something. Fuck that shit. Fuck that person. They don't give a shit about you? Cool. Fuck them. But if you're doing it out of spite,
And you're saying making a
doing
false
it-
claim,
you're making a false claim about it.
Then you deserve to be punished for it.
You are ruining somebody's life. Now, even if they're
even if
found-
it's false.
like if it is false, there is still that I was accused of.
And that damage is done.
And you will that person will never be able to get away from it ever. They
Exactly.
could be 80 fucking years old, and that still is going to be hovering above their head.
And people will still talk about it. It's that gossip circle, that gossip cycle, that people will talk about the bad things that you were accused of rather than the good things you've done.
Yeah, like. Anyways,
And it's terrible.
it really is. So the last thing, and I'm pretty sure we're going to end up. We're not
Calling
gonna have
it
a whole,
here.
Well, we're not going to have a whole lot to really talk about with this one because I mean, I want to bring it up because it's something that needs to be shared. But I also know that we are very much of the same opinion on this, and we have conversations about this all the time.
All the time.
Is communication, even between across languages. What brings this up? You know, yesterday I was watching a bunch of
that guy
videos
is awesome.
on this guy who
Is a multilingual.
He is a multilinguist. He is American, born and raised, grew up in New York,
Yeah.
married to a woman of Chinese descent. And so he learned Mandarin to be able to speak her native language and to be able to speak with her parents and her grandparents and her relatives.
Yeah. Which is
And
really
then
awesome.
he made it a point to learn
as
other
many
languages.
as many languages as he can.
Like I saw the couple videos that I saw, he learned how to speak Gaelic. He learned how to speak whatever the language
I know.
Twi, TWI, the language that the people from Ghana speak. He learned how to speak Masani or Masai.
He learned
I-
how to speak. He
he-
was in the process. The last video I watched of him, he was in the process of learning Hindi. I believe it is.
But he goes ahead and he learns these languages, and then he goes to like festivals, or he goes to the country,
Exactly.
or like that kind of stuff, and he has conversations with people.
And it lights
in the
people's
language.
life, man. It's
like
amazing.
Like the one that he went ahead and he learned Gaelic, right? He went to Ireland, and he was talking to some people and was like, speaking English, and then just mid sentence just started speaking Gaelic, and
the shock on their
the
face.
lady, the first lady was like, hold up. One, I recognize I recognize the language that you're speaking. I don't speak Gaelic, but he does. And this guy who was standing by, like, heard it and turned his head and looked and saw that it was this white dude from America speaking Gaelic, and he's like, "Hold up!"
And I
started
mean,
talking. And,
getting
like,
invited to that village.
Yeah, when he went to what is that country?
I forget what
It starts with a K. It's in Africa. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But anyway, he went
He
to
went to Africa
and got invited to this village that they don't allow outsiders
the
in.
Maasai people, the Maasai village that he went into, like, they will talk with people. The warriors of the tribe will go ahead and greet people outside of the village. They're not really invited in.
Yeah.
He started speaking that language, and they're like, "Hold up, you're no, you're Maasai. Let's go," and invited him into the village because he spoke the language. They even had a naming ceremony for him,
Which
and
is
the
a very
guy who he was with.
sacred.
They only ever do it for children.
And it's a very
And
sacred ritual.
They gave him Maasai names.
Yeah. And see, that to me is amazing. Like, for a community that is closed off typically, they're nice enough outside their village and whatnot, but they are closed off in the sense where they don't invite outsiders in. And for him and his friend to be invited into this village and to be given the honor of having a naming ceremony and speaking to the tribal elders, or however you want to look at it, going inside these communities and opening the eyes of people around the world about, you know, we are all the same. All we want is community. And if
all
that
we need to do is talk.
learning, communication.
Like, he
communication
went
is
ahead.
huge.
They, like, one of the things that they had said, like, while they were in the village, one of the villagers asked him, like, why, I forget what the exact question was, and he said it's a religious belief. Oh, it was veganism. Like, do you believe that there are some people who don't eat meat? And the guy's like, why? And the guy who was doing this was like, well, some of it is just personal belief, some of it's religion. And the guy goes, the people who do it just for personal belief have no culture. I don't understand religion. And that is the big thing. It's all
Offering
it
that
all comes down
explanation.
to, for me, in my belief, it all comes down to beliefs. Whether it's something that you actively believe now or something that you were indoctrinated in. Or, I mean,
Something
I
that
can't
you
really
grew
say
up
indoctrinated in. Because you can look at any religion and be like, oh, that's, you know, you people, it's a giant cult with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Or like Taliesin said, or like one of the people from Taliesin said from Critical Role, in character talking, his character was talking to another character. What is religion but a cult with a franchise?
Exactly.
You know, I don't personally believe that, keep in mind. But like you have these ideals imprinted upon you from a young age. And as you grow up, you either follow
Continue
them.
to follow them.
You either follow them until you die. You follow certain parts of them. You follow some, or you're just like, nah.
Like in the Mormon religion, it like drugs, alcohol, caffeine, certain things are not okay.
Talking about family with somebody outside of the Mormon culture,
It is frowned upon. Okay, so I have friends and family that are Mormon that, you know, adopt certain aspects of that. They don't drink alcohol, they don't do drugs, they don't smoke, but they will drink caffeine.
Yeah,
They'll
they're
drink
Jack
coffee
Mormons.
and that type of stuff. And it's like, you know, you have that choice, but it all comes down to communication. And everything has a basis of communication, no matter what it is. It can go along lines from religion to sexual preference to gender to whatever. It's
To
all about
tribes.
it's all about communication. And if you take the time to learn these languages and learn about these cultures and not question why they're doing certain things, instead just going, okay, I want to learn more. You know, I might not do this on a normal basis, but okay, take me through some of your daily ritual, your daily eating habits, traditions, that type of stuff. And being willing to learn and communicate in their language is huge.
Especially for them. You know, somebody coming from the outside is like, I know nothing about this culture. I want to learn as much as I can from the people in their language. Those people will look at that person as like, we're going to show you things and do things with you that we don't do with anybody else because you took the time
to learn
and
ask questions.
So we are going to reward that by showing you something that we normally wouldn't.
But a lot of people are like, oh, this culture
I look at it as like a lot
doesn't
of people
allow people.
There are certain people I will say that are xenophobic. Like, if you are not from this country that I'm from, I want nothing to do with you. You are garbage.
And there's an island, and I forget the name of it. It's out by itself, and there is a tribe of people that live on the island that still live in, like, the times before there was electricity, running water, like.
They're very traditionalist.
They are very traditional. They hunt for their food. They plant their food, like everything. They don't know what meat is. They don't know nothing. And there are instances where people have just shown up on this beautiful island and started doing what they want, and they were killed because it was considered a sacred place to them.
Yep.
And then there was another point where there was one of the tribal elders had something wrong, and somebody said maybe we should ask for help from such and such country because they're the closest to us. They got the medical help they needed, came back to their village, and brought this person with them, and it was the first time anybody that was born outside of that island was on that island in almost 400 years.
Oh, yeah.
And it's huge. And it was because this person was respectful of their religious choices, of their tribal choices, and
or their
traditions
customs.
And customs, that they followed it to a T, fought tooth and nail with the hospital they worked for. And this person this tribal elder was given the privilege to come to the island and help others, and basically gave everybody on the island. He worked for months, like almost 7 months he was on that island. He gave everybody a health check. He ordered vaccinations for these people to help prevent some of these diseases that have been around,
like malaria,
and they brought medications to give them in case somebody gets malaria. This guy made sure that they were taken care of and said, thank you for the experience, I'm gonna go home, and left. No video cameras. He wrote about his story. No video cameras, no pictures, no nothing. He was that respectful.
Yeah.
And several people have tried since then to go there, and they were turned away. And it's just like, you have to respect their choices to stay isolated. But if you are like that doctor or like this gentleman that learns all these languages and respects the culture and the traditions and communicates in their native language, and they honor you by bringing you into their safe place,
or showing you something that is sacred to them and their people,
Exactly. Make
That
sure you're
is-
communicating. Like this guy that learns all the languages. He asked them if it would be okay to film. He asked them for permission to do every little thing. And he was respectful. And so was his doctor. They asked him no pictures, no film. You can write about your experience, but don't give any details. And he was very respectful of that.
Yep.
And that's what, and we kind of got off on a bunny trail again, but that's what it's about, is communication. Is that constant desire for people to communicate.
Yeah.
No matter the language. Just communicate with people. Learn new things. Learn about different cultures.
You might find something that you're really passionate about.
You might
in
find
doing
something
that.
that you really like, and it gives you that fire to learn more, do different things, travel different places. I know that because I'm bilingual. I speak English and Spanish.
I'm getting there.
I know.
I'm learning German.
I know that I would like to go and volunteer and help in places in Mexico that may need help. And that's why I'm striving to make sure that I learn more about the language, learn some of the nuances, learn some of the different dialects and stuff like that, so that if I was to go help somewhere, I could speak the language and people will have that comfort knowing that I made the effort.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. Dude, learn something new every day. That's what I say.
Yep. I will agree with you, and that's actually something that, I've made it a point to, try to do myself.
And even at my interview, I was like, if I'm not learning something new every day, what am I doing?
Yep. But with that being said, thank you all for listening. If you
Yep.
are listening on Spotify, do please just download it. It
Have
makes
fun.
things easier. It gives us, lets us reach out to more people. If you're on the other ones, whatever one you're listening to, just like it. But that being said,
Have a good
thank
day.
you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
And don't be a dick.
And don't forget to love each other.
Bye.
Bye.